Well, hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I am not driving MOKA because MOKA is dead. Anyway, I'm driving a Discovery 4. As you can see, it's luxurious. It's like being in Winston Churchill's living room. It even has a fridge right here in the center console to keep your gin and tonics in it. Anyway, here is the story of how MOKA died. Basically, MOKA had a problem I was keeping under control. I was kind of keeping a check on. I still didn't know what it was, but the problem was that it was engine temperatures were slightly above average, about 7 to 10 degrees above average. It's kind of weird, but I didn't have time to check if it was the engine cap which was losing pressure, or one of the hoses that was leaking, or something else. So I park up the car this past weekend and I leave for the weekend, and without me knowing, my dad takes the car during the weekend. So anyway, I mean, that's no big deal, but without me knowing means that I couldn't tell him that there was a problem that he should have been taking into consideration and checking in case anything happened. And I was worried. Sunday I get back into town and I see my car is not parked by the house, and I know they have it. And by the time I get into the house, and I was over the phone with somebody else, with my girlfriend, my father calls me, my sister and my father, they were together, and my sister tells me the car is broken. And that's when I knew something had happened, was something serious, because I know that I pay a lot of attention. I'm very careful about what happens in the car, in the engine. I have all the instruments which I installed, so oil temperature, oil pressure, water temperature, voltmeter, the whole shebang, which I installed to prevent serious damage. They tell me, listen, the car's overheated, it's smoking, we're not sure what's going on, give us instructions. So I give them instructions and I tell them, you have to fill up the radiator. But before doing that, before opening the cap, just touch one of the hoses, try and squeeze it. If it's rigid, like hard, don't open it because you're gonna get burnt. And I was over the phone, so they tell me this, and the hoses were limp, you could squeeze them. So obviously the coolant system had lost pressure and lost liquid. Oil levels were low. They sent me a photo that you're seeing of oil dripping under the motor, and that was very strange. I mean, MOKA did not lose one drop of oil, it never does, but that meant that they really overheated the car. It means that something like a rubber gasket gave way, or an oil seal gave way, and it's now leaking oil. The rest of the car is smoking like hell, and I tell them, fill up the oil, check the oil level, put some water back into the radiator, and wait a bit and start the engine and tell me what happens. They send me a video of water gushing out from where it shouldn't be, from behind the diesel pump. So that's weird, but the only place that could be is the top radiator hose, which has blown. So anyway, by that time I was in this car going to pick them up because MOKA wasn't going to go anywhere, and I had to get my father and my sister back home. I get there, I immediately check the top hose, and sure enough, the top hose has a big fat hole in it, ripped open, this split like that, and that's where the water is coming out from. I then start the engine, and the engine runs, but really badly. Oh, by the way, they told me that when they got to the petrol station to try and address the problem, they took the foot off the gas and the car died. The engine died, and that's bad. Generally, that's not good. it means it's really, 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 really overheating, and it can't keep up. So start the engine, it's running really badly. It's obvious that at least 1 or 2 cylinders have no compression, and that tells me that either the head is blown, that there's a problem with the valves or the camshaft, or that the gasket is completely blown. Even more so because I got out the car and I went to the back to the exhaust pipe, and I could smell burnt oil and water. So it just, I knew it was toast. We get the car towed. I go back to Rome. The mechanic sees the car. He calls me and says, listen, it's taking a beating. The engine's being cooked. So we can definitely try and figure out what happened, but if it's a head problem and we put a new head on it, we just won't know how much damage the engine has taken. That means oil seals, the piston rings could have welded to the piston, the cylinders could have become ovalized. When they overheat, they lose their shape, their perfect shape. It means you just lose compression and you're stuck. Or even worse, the big ended rod the bearings could have slipped or got totally eaten up, and that's because engine oil, when it becomes superheated, it loses any lubricant capacity and viscosity. Anyway, so you get the point. The engine is completely gone. There's no point rebuilding it, because rebuilding that engine would cost more than buying a new one. And here's the 2 options I have. Buy a brand new factory crate engine and put it in, but that would cost more than the car is worth. Unfortunately, Gallopers are not worth that much financially, economically, in money terms in Italy. And the new engine would come in at just about 5,000 euros, but the car has 340,000 euros as the old engine did, and it just wouldn't make any sense. The other option is buying a used engine, and I have found one. I found a complete used engine which is still inside a Galloper, works. The engine is the car of this guy's car is completely destroyed because he hit a tree up in the mountains, which is understandable, and it's at a very good price, around 1,000 euros, more or less. But I have to drive there. It's like a 8-hour, 9-hour drive. Get the engine, see if it works. Get the engine out of the car, so actually work with this guy and dismount the engine, and drive it back down and put it in the other car. So at the end of the day, that's the only real option, and we are gonna put MOKA back on the road and back off the road. It's probably going to be that engine there. Having said so, this is the story. MOKA is dead for now, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for tuning back in. I am still driving in Rome traffic, which is absolutely hectic, but at least for today I'm in this car. Thank you again, and I hope to see you soon. I'll keep you posted. Drop a comment if you want to know more. I can make an in detail video, but this is pretty much in detail itself. Thank you again. Ciao from Alberto and Lone Galloper Overland. Oh, by the way, I don't blame my father for breaking the engine. It wasn't his fault. The engine had a failure. I'm only upset because he could have noticed the overheating beforehand and possibly prevent the engine being cooked. But, you know, it happens. That's pretty much it. Thank you again. Ciao, ciao. Just check out some other videos if you really want to see MOKA in action with its working engine, the old one.